So we are watching some pretty unprecedented times play out in the streets of New York City, where you're watching Times Square being empty at this point. What's it meant for your business to this point to see businesses shuttered?
Well, first of all, the most interesting thing is that many of my businesses are not shuttered because I own thousands of apartment units in New York, and those units still require building service employees to come and clean and maintain the buildings and provide services to the tenants. So that requires us to make sure that our employees are safe, have proper equipment, and can reassure the tenants that the buildings will function, because these buildings are getting actually more intense use now as all the tenants are staying home all the time.
All the tenants staying home all the time is not necessarily great news for what it's going to mean when mortgage payments are due or when rent payments are due at the end of the month. What happens? Are you going to be giving people an extension of time to pay things back? Are you going to be forgiving any of these things, either for your commercial or your residential areas?
Well, I think that we as an industry decided that for people that are financially stressed by the current situation, that we would forbear evictions or demands for rent until for the next 90 days, at least until this situation resolves. But of course, there are very severe implications about this happening over a long period of time, because we also have obligations to pay, like mortgage, like real estate taxes, like utilities, like paying our building service employees, paying insurance. And most landlords do not have the wherewithal to hang on for more than a couple of months of no income or no revenue. So we're hoping that the people who can pay will pay, and the people that can't pay will give some forbearance for the time being.
What are you hoping to see either from the state or the federal government in return?
Well, I don't know if our industry has specific requests at this point in this bailout or financing, but I'm hopeful that they understand that the banks are very interrelated to the commercial real estate business, and if the commercial real estate business is not functioning, eventually that will fall into the banks and create more problems in the financial institutions. And I think that they're aware of all that, and our industry is well represented in Washington. So hopefully everybody will understand that if there's no revenue in the real estate business, it eventually will tumble down into the banking institutions as well.
Richard, how long are you in a position to be able to do some of these things? You said most people in the real estate industry could only do this for 2 or 3 months or so. What's your own situation?
Well, I mean, we're pretty liquid, and we have a mix of commercial and residential properties. So I think that we're well positioned to hang on for a while. Of course, there are other people in the business that have a very heavy retail base or own a lot of hotels, and those things have just shut off, and that's going to be a much more present and in-your-face situation more quickly. I know that we own a bunch of hotels that we're going to be shutting, I think, in the next couple of days, because there's just no customers there.
Hey, Richard, real quick.
I want to thank you for your time.
What do you make of the?
Go ahead, Andrew.
Hey, Richard, real quick. I just want to know, what do you make of the idea of a rent or mortgage holiday? That's one of the things that people have talked about, and whether you could ultimately be supported longer term later. But if you did that for 2 months, what it would do for the country?
Well, we did suggest that we would, that some major landlords would be supportive of those in need having a rent holiday for a couple of months.
But you're in a better position. Do you think that all landlords could actually get through that period?
No, I'm saying, there's a couple of large landlords that have the resources that can handle that for a couple of months. But the mom and pop owners or the small owners, they're not going to be able survive. The margins in the real estate business are not that great that they can survive for a month or two. It's a business generally with very high expenses. And so I would say I would not be supportive of general don't pay the rent. Everybody don't pay your rent, and everybody don't pay your mortgage. I mean, it's kind of a difficult problem for the banking industry at that point.